Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And today's scenario is quite challenging. I can say it's challenging, interesting in both ways. Okay, so let me first try to understand your data. It's very simple set of data, one table of data, where I'm capturing the each student the mark. Okay, so if you see this first student now, number one student, he is having one mark like 657. Another same student is having the student ID 2 and previous ID is 1 and he's getting 450 marks. So it means that the current year, let's take in the current, I suppose I am running on 2023, he got 657 mark, whereas previous year, or let's take on the 2022 on the previous class, he got 450 marks. That time his ID was 1. Okay, same for this student also. So this is one of the scenario where we are capturing the current ID of the student and the previous year ID, and with their marks I'm capturing here. So I want to see how much the difference of mark the student is having compared to the previous year. Okay, so here basically you need to compare like this one, like 450 or 657 minus 450, 450 something like that, right? So I need to do like this, right? 657 minus 450. But I can't do directly on the column level, right? Because this is not Excel. Hmm? So there could be some way to do this. Okay. So just understand, try to understand. Yeah. I think you got the question correct properly. So let's go ahead. So there are two ways to resolve this. First way is to create another table, then join back. Okay, in the sense from the previous ID, from the student ID to the previous ID, I just connect it back. Okay, then I can get my previous mark and current mark. Then I can do the minus. Okay, so let's do the first approach. So what I'll do, I will go to the table tools here, create another setup table. It's just like the self join concept. Okay, it is just the table self join. So I will say table just equals to table. So it will create a table, another table with same set of data. Okay. Now what I'll do, I will go to my relationship here. I will take the previous ID. Okay, previous ID, and I will just compare with my student ID from this. Okay, from the first table, I'm taking my previous ID, previous film ID, and I'm comparing the second table with my student ID here. This is one kind of self join is happening. Okay. Now what we'll do, we can take some table here. Okay. Now if you see, let's try to get the name. Okay, these are the two names let me little bit size I will change it. So column header, I think it's enough. Okay, and the values also little bit somewhere around 8. Okay, now if I put the marks from the first table, okay, I'm getting all the values here. Okay, and where I'm putting the marks from the previous, so the from the second table here. Okay, then I will get the previous mark. Then you can do the difference. Okay, so the 450 minus 657, 450 minus 460, and these are the current values. This is one way you can do it. Okay, this is called the self join, but or kind of self relationship, I can say. But instead of doing all these things, right, just creating a table, making a relationship, all these things is not at all required. Okay, so for that, let me delete the relationship first. Okay, now go to the table and delete the table too. And instead of doing all these things, why should I create it? Now I will introduce to another function on the DAX that is called your lookup value. Okay, how to create the lookup value? So I will create a new column here. Okay, so I'll say the previous mark of the student. Okay, let me start zoom in a little bit. So I will introduce to the lookup value function. This is quite interesting. So it will take three parameters, or rather say in four parameters. First is the result column name. Second is the search column name. Then third is your search value. And the fourth parameter is optional, which is called your alternate results. So within the table, if you want to search something, no, this lookup value will be very helpful. It retrieves a value from a table itself. So what exactly I want to get? I want to get the mark. But based on what? Based on the previous ID column and my ID column, the student ID. So whichever the condition satisfied, so it will take the first previous ID, and whenever it is compared the student ID, this will match, right? This one with this one, it will match, it will give you the mark. Like same case in this case, the 3 compare with 3, it will give you the 560 here, something like that. So enter it. See, both the columns you got it here. The previous ID mark was 450 here, right? For the current one, the 450, and the previous one is 657, correct? So for this row, it written the 657, 450, 560, 450. That's correct. Now, one more problem is here. Suppose whenever it didn't found any previous ID, then what you will be, what you want to show it. So that where your the last parameter will work out here. That is called my let's take the alternate results. Okay, enter it. I can say 0. Alternate is 0. I just want to print a 0 here. So whenever it is not found, I can take the 0. Okay. Now I can take the difference. Okay. So I can take the difference of these two and I can just work on that. So I can say a new column, say difference, right? I say marks minus my previous marks. Okay. So this is the difference. This is the current one who is getting 450 mark. Previous year, current year 60, and the difference is 207. Right? Makes sense here? So this is the lookup value function we are using it. Lookup marks and the previous ID and the student ID. So it will look for that only. So you don't need to take any relationship here instead of using the lookup value to get the information. This will be really helpful when this kind of information. Suppose let's say department manager ID in one table itself the information is there. We are looking at the same table, then lookup value function will be really helpful here. Okay, this is a short video for this today, but this is quite useful DAX function, so you can just check it out and do check it out other playlist on my channel. uh, there are 4 playlists I can say. One is Power BI series, there is a Power BI DAX use cases, then there is a Power Query, then there is a Power BI start to end learning. Okay, do follow up this one, and please subscribe to this channel for more interesting content like this. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.